You're listening to a new segment of River City Rhythms. This is Rhythms and Reflections. Today we're going to have a live performance and a deep dive into the artistry and music of the David Larsen Band. I'm so excited. I would love it if each of you went around and introduced yourselves and the instruments that you are playing today.
Well, I'm David Larsen. I'm the leader of the group, and I'll be playing saxophone. And hopefully everybody can hear it out there, but we have Tom
You
Fletcher
sound
on
great.
piano. And we have Cole Rosaia over there on the bass. And we have Brendan McMurphy on the drum.
Incredible. I would love it if you told us how you all met each other. How did this band really form?
I'm sort of the ringleader of the group, and I'm an independent artist, and I do a lot of recording and performing. And over the years, since moving to Spokane, I've been reaching out to players to help me, get my vision going to make music. And so about, I'm going to say 8 years ago, when I was doing a swing band project, I met Tom, and we played together for several years. And then for no particular reason, we weren't playing much, but now recently we've been playing together a lot again. Cole Rosaia, I met him because he was attending Spokane Falls Community College, where I teach, and so we made a great friendship, and I've just watched him develop over the years, and he's become quite a force for bass in Spokane, and it's great to have him. And Brendan McMurphy I met about the same time I moved to town. His wife Rachel does a lot of music in town, and so I met him through her, and he did my very first album when I moved to Spokane, and we've had a great friendship ever since.
That's incredible. Well, I have to thank you guys so much for taking the time to come down to the studio and perform for us live on air. For the listeners, you are listening to KYRS Medical Lake Spokane on 88.1 and 92.3 FM. Thank you guys again for being here. I really want to get to know you and the band a little bit more. So can you tell me what the inspirations for going into jazz really were for you? Like, when did you know that you wanted to play the saxophone? What were your inspirations or big names?
Well, I have a cute story to start with. When I was in grade school, and I'm going to say maybe second or third grade, I distinctly remember the high school jazz band coming to my grade school and playing music. And I'm sure that they were playing Glenn Miller tunes and all this other stuff, but I was just ridiculously fascinated by it. I loved the sound of it. I loved all that stuff. Fast forward a few years, I chose saxophone in band class, and I kept playing all through high school, and I used to joke with my friends that I was going to grow up to be a jazz musician. All the while, I got a near perfect score on my SAT and was preparing to go into the hard sciences like my brother.
Wow.
But then, lo and behold, I got there and I realized how little I wanted to do physics and how much I wanted to focus on music. And so starting there when I was about 19 years old, I just started taking music very seriously. I started performing, practicing, and then through the years, I've just been keeping going with it and working as much as I can to kind of, I always said that I wanted to make sure my tombstone said musician right there on the top. So,
not physician. That's awesome. Okay. So how long have you been playing saxophone for?
Wow, that's going to make me sound old. I've been playing saxophone now for about 30, let's see, I can't do that math. I'm going to say 32 years, something like that.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So what was it like going from student to teacher now that you're at the Falls, right?
Yeah, I'm the instrumental music director at Spokane Falls Community College, and previous to that, I was a high school music teacher also.
Okay.
Honestly, to me, the way I understand things is if I can explain it to you, then I probably know I probably know that material. And so to me, teaching is I go to work every day and I just share my passion. I literally walk in a room and say, hey, everybody want to play some music? And, it's really a very wonderful, inspiring thing. And it's great when you're working with young people because all of a sudden they get that sparkle in their eye and they think to themselves, man, I enjoy this so much. I want to be a part of this. because as they joke, it's a lifestyle choice, not a career choice. We do this because we love it, not because somebody made us do it or anything like that. It was just something that we absolutely enjoy and love.
Yeah. Oh, I love to hear that, because that is exactly how I feel about radio here at KYRS. And everyone here is a volunteer, so we do it because we love it, not for any other real reason. So that is incredible to hear. Was there anything that you experienced in your jazz education that changed the way that you teach today?
Well, yeah, lists on ending, but I had some really great teachers, and I was really fortunate that I'm just barely old enough to have worked with people who stretch back so far in time. When I was 19, 20 years old, I was playing in a big band with people who literally were playing in air quotes, big bands of the 1940s and 50s, people who played in the Stan Kenton Orchestra, people who played with Don Cherry, people who played with Louis Prima, all these things.
Wow.
And so for me, it was like I was sitting there in the room with authenticity. Like, these are people who don't just know the material, they lived it. They were right there. When I got my doctorate in Jerry Mulligan, I was so fortunate to work, perform, and record with a bunch of musicians who literally worked and performed and recorded with Jerry. And so when I had questions about the music, they could tell me because they were literally standing there right there in front of him. And so for me, there was just a whole bunch of things. My first sax teacher was a studio musician in LA in the early 1960s. So he did Hanna-Barbera cartoons and things like that. So it's just like, it's these life experiences, these shared life experiences that are just so special to me. And I feel like when I share what I know, it has something to do with that, because it's not just simply me reading it out of the textbook. It's like somebody who was there told me this, or I did it myself. So.
Yeah, you are really engaged as a teacher. It sounds to me like your students are very lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I do have a couple more questions for you before we get into it. For the listeners, the David Larsen Band is going to be performing live for us in just a few minutes, but I do want to ask you a few more. So, do you have a favorite era of jazz?
I've always been really partial to the 1950s and 1960s jazz, specifically what is called cool jazz. Sometimes people use the nomenclature of West Coast jazz, but that was actually just a marketing tactic of that time period, because if you lived in California, you were West Coast jazz, no matter what your jazz sounded like. But cool jazz is really focused around composition. It's more sort of cerebral, and let's face it, I'm a big nerd, and so is that music, and I just find it so fascinating. Some of the performers in that would be like Jerry Mulligan, Paul Desmond, Dave Brubeck, and the list goes on and on.
I've heard you mention Jerry Mulligan a few times. Would you say that's your favorite jazz musician?
I mean, he's way up there. It's really interesting. I'm arguably the world's foremost expert in him. I did my doctoral work on him, and I know a lot about him. But actually, what I like most about him is as a composer, because I realized later in life that, hey, we like share a lot in common, and I didn't necessarily even like copy it from him. It was just things that we both do that really made it kind of sound similar. And so he's way up there in my pantheon, because you know, it really was a great experience. We share a lot of values about how the compositions are created, the type of solo material we play from. But there's a lot of other players and stuff where if I'm really looking for inspiration, I'll reach out to folks like Stan Getz, Ken Poplawski, and some of these other players who I think maybe were stronger performers, but Jerry just holds this special place for a whole host of reasons like that.
Wow. I would love to throw that question at each of the members here today. So would each of you share with me your favorite era of jazz as well as your favorite jazz musician?
We're just walking over to the microphones here.
Oh, no worries.
I guess I'll go first. My name's Brendan. I'm the drummer and the trumpet teacher at Spokane Falls Community College. I guess my favorite era is post-bop, so anything post 1963 or so is kind of my favorite. I live in the kind of the modern part of this music right up until, and I love all the stuff that just got released this year. I really try to keep abreast of all of that.
Keep current. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm really into that stuff. I'm really into progressive music and things that kind of veer into the avant-garde is kind of where I live.
Incredible. Thank you for sharing.
And I just want to say really briefly that it's cool because all of us have really different influences, but the music still works because we're speaking a similar language, and it's all kind of adds to our personal flavor and what we bring to it. So David's really into cool jazz. I'm really into kind of avant-garde and more modern stuff. But that stuff's not diametrically opposed. It's really very similar and kind of comes from the same tree. So and it's nice when you blend those things in new ways.
Amazing. Thank you.
Hey there, everybody. This is Cole. I'm the bass player. This is a question I struggle with a lot because my tastes and opinions on music are always growing and changing. Right now, at least, my favorite era of jazz is probably akin to the Stan Kenton kind of sound, like that 40s, maybe, or late 30s kind of sound, just because I really love the American songbook kind of approach to songwriting, very melody first. But honestly, like Brendan as well, I listen to everything currently. It's my tastes change by the day, honestly. I'll discover a new musician, I'll get really into it, and then maybe not.
That is exactly how I go through music too. I go in phases where I really enjoy one artist or one album, and then a week later it's on to the next.
Right now, I think my favorite artist, it's definitely not a bassist right now, not that's an odd thing, but I've been listening a lot and really digging into Ignacio Baroa. He's a drummer.
Okay.
I got to see a master class from him last year, and it changed the scope of how I look at things rhythmically, and it was a big impact on me. So I've been taking a deep dive into his stuff.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing.
My name is Tom Fletcher. I'm the piano player, and I'm from Minneapolis. I moved to Spokane 9 years ago, and I guess I love all genres of all the different parts of jazz. I especially love the 50s and 60s, Bill Evans, Tommy Flanagan, Hank Jones, and currently Bill Charlap and others. So I really love the jazz piano trio, but I also love all of it, including I spent a lot of years playing jazz fusion in the form of Weather Report, Return to Forever Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock. So that was a huge influence. And then when that became less viable to have performances and try to support myself back in the Twin Cities, then went more to the straight ahead jazz, which is what I really love now, but it depends on the day and it depends on the hour.
Oh, I feel it. I feel it. Well, thank you so much for sharing. This is incredible. I am so excited to have you guys, the David Larsen Quartet. Well, what do you say, guys? Are you ready to play? I would love to hear you guys live.
Sure, no problem. We're going to start off with a tune entitled A New Thing Comin'. A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3.
Amazing. You guys are incredible. You sound great.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And what are we going to play next?
So the next tune is another original of mine. I'm really bad at naming tunes, so this tune might be a good tune, and it's entitled Might.
Okay, I'll let you play the next few songs in a row. You take that away.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you guys for playing. That was awesome.
No problem. No problem.
So I understand that a couple of the songs that you played for us, Afro Blue and Mr. Clean, are off of your most recent album, Might. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. And Might also is from the album Might, believe it or not.
Awesome, awesome. And that came out in about October, right?
Yeah, I think it was October 3rd or something like that. It was the first Friday of the month.
Okay. And what about this album makes it unique to your previous works?
So this album was a collaboration between myself and Cole, but then we also had some guests come in from New Mexico. A good friend of mine named Delbert Anderson. He's a Navajo trumpet player who's really kind of tearing things up. He's been touring all over the globe, playing, writing music. He has a great awareness project going on called The Longest Note, where he's playing a note playing a note for representing the plight of the Navajo people during their relocation in the 1800s. And it's a real sad story, but he's doing this thing, and it's a 5-year-long project where he's going to play a note every certain number of days, and there's a whole formula to it that obviously I don't have time to explain, but it's a really fascinating project. He did a ton of research about it, and so anyway, this album Might is a collaboration between me and him and members of his band. Khalil Brown was the drummer, and we also had Robert Muller on the keyboard, and then Cole Rosaia was playing bass, so it was a little bit of Spokane and a little bit of New Mexico.
What a perfect blend. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that you have many upcoming shows. Would you be kind enough to tell our listeners about them?
Sure. So it's a rotating thing. This time it's in a different spot, but on December 19th, this band you see in front of us is going to be playing at Emerau's, downtown Spokane, First and Howard, and we're going to be doing a Christmas concert in celebration of the holiday and the fact that it's just the first single just dropped on Friday, but this group also recorded a Christmas EP for a German record label I record for.
Wow.
And so Winter Wonderland is out now, but as we're getting closer to the holiday, the other 4 songs will release, and so we're going to be playing on December 19th at Emerau's. And then my saxophone quartet, the Max Quartet, is going to be performing a Christmas extravaganza. It's a really special thing. It's 4 saxophones, bass, and drums. It's a great sounding ensemble, and we're playing that at the Hamilton Listening Room on December 15th at 2 p.m. And that one has tickets to it. The one on December 19th, that one is just a come on in and enjoy the music kind of gig.
Okay. Are there any more upcoming shows?
That's it for 2025. I just, had we done this like 4 weeks ago, I could have rattled off a bunch of stuff because I was on tour and stuff. But this is a little bit of my downtime. I'm enjoying a little bit of time off. So I got those 2 ones coming up, and then it'll be 2025, and we'll start again anew.
I love it. I love it. Would you give me a recap on all of your different bands and projects that you're in the midst of?
Well, so I'm like I said at the beginning, I'm an independent artist, and so I perform and record with a lot of different people depending on what I'm playing. This group you see in front of me is kind of my regular quartet. We play a lot, just if there's gigs around town or if we're going on a small tour or something. I just finished recording with the jazz legend Ken Poplawski, great clarinetist. And that's going to be an upcoming album. We have a previous album that's already out, but there's a new one coming. And this Saturday, I recorded an album with the Jimmy Branley Quartet. It's a group of from L.A., including Jimmy Branley on drums, Francisco Torres on trombone, Andy Langham on piano, and they had a guest bassist. His name is Ahmet. And they're a group from L.A. They work with all sorts of great named people. They perform with Disney, et cetera, and they came to town. We did some shows, and we did an album, and that's another forthcoming one that's happening. And there's just all sorts of stuff. And then I also have my saxophone quartet, the Max Quartet. We play classical music and jazz and kind of fun, popular stuff. as well as one other that I'm technically not the leader, but we just got done with a project. It's called Standard Deviation, and we play video game music. So if being a full-time teacher wasn't enough, I keep myself kind of busy.
You are a busy guy, that is for sure.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff in the works. Where can listeners stream your music?
My stuff is literally everywhere. If you're Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube, all those places. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can find literally everything, and it's free for anyone. And then you can track it down, right? If you go to your service like Amazon Music or Deezer or one of those other ones that you use more readily for your music. And it's all under my name, David Larsen, and that's Larsen for those of you trying to type it out.
Perfect.
And you'll see my face. That's the first thing you see, so you'll probably know it's me. But on YouTube, it's Larsen Jazz Music is my YouTube page.
Amazing. Are there any more social media platforms that we can follow you on?
Oh yeah, I'm on all those places. Facebook is it's Larsen Jazz, or David Larsen and the Larsen Group is the name of my business page. At Larsen Jazz is my handle on both Instagram and on X, although I don't post a whole lot on X.
Okay.
And I do have a LinkedIn and all those other ones, but Instagram and Facebook are the ones I use the most, and then most of the music and videos and stuff are on YouTube.
Perfect. I love it. And then I would love to give the opportunity to each band member just to say whatever you are feeling the listeners need to hear today. And thank you guys so much for playing.
No problem.
All right, well, they both said no.
I just didn't want to go first.
Okay.
Aww.
But that's okay. Thanks for listening. Watch for us around town. And there's lots of great music in Spokane, and not just jazz. This is a really wonderful and vibrant musical community. So get out and support your local venues, and and check it out. There's just wonderful artists everywhere here in Spokane. It's great.
Yeah. Piggybacking on that, there is nothing better than watching this live. The folks in the booth there can understand it's amazing to see it being created before your very eyes. It's not the same as listening. We love it when you listen to us online, but boy, come on out to the gig.
Yeah, just like Brendan said and David said, there's so much music in town. It doesn't have to be jazz. We have a great funk R&B scene, a blues rock scene, a folk scene. There's music everywhere as long as you're looking, and I really encourage people to get out of the house and just go listen to people. You'll enjoy it more than you think, and you'll probably end up getting some good food and stuff along the way, because we're always playing at restaurants.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I concur with everybody that live music's where it's at. You know, it's sometimes hard to get out of the house, but once you're there, you know,
It's so much
it
fun.
really feeds your soul. So check it out. You know, there's all kinds of places. So check the calendars, listen to your station. I'm sure you have events, calendars, etc. So live music is it certainly is something that really is valuable and needs to continue, and the only way it can continue is with support of people coming out to hear it.
You are so right. I would love to do something a little silly. Are you guys down?
Sure, what the heck?
I would love it if you guys could gather around the couple of mics that we have in there, and then in union say, "Thank you, KYRS listeners." And I'll say it as well.
All right, yeah.
Did you guys say it with me?
Yeah, they're getting there.
Okay, thank you.
Here, Tom, come over to this one. Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you, KYRS listeners.
Woo! Thank you guys so much.
No problem.